First off, I want to thank Barry and the entire ggNY team for having my team here today, and I want to thank all of you for being here today. My name's Eddie, down here is my buddy Mark, and we are two high school students from Cambridge, Massachusetts. Today we want to give you an entirely different twist on what you see as wearable technology in the marketplace. We want to show you something completely new and out of the ordinary. So, get geeked. A couple years ago, we first heard about smartwatches, which is like a huge thing now. And when we heard about the Pebble smartwatch, the Samsung Gear, the Moto 360, we thought they were really cool. We thought they were incredible devices. What we didn't think, however, was that they were incredibly unique devices. Because let's be honest, everything that can be done on a Moto or a Samsung Gear nowadays is pretty similar to that of what your smartphone can do. So what we wanted to do was to create something unique and really solve a problem with wearable tech. And so today, we want to unveil to you our flagship product. But first, a little background about ourselves and our journey and how we got here. So about 3 years ago, a couple of us in a garage in Cambridge and Mass, we got together and we were a bunch of 16 and 17-year-old kids who wanted to become entrepreneurs and to create some awesome wearable technology. And we didn't have any business experience or any engineering experience. We really did have the passion to make something happen, though. So what we did was just go around asking for help in designing the product, developing a product, and bringing a wearable tech company to market. And we really didn't have any experience with any of this, so we were completely in the dark. But the problem that we wanted to solve was one that we saw in school every day. That was staying awake. Now, as journalists, I'm sure you've all heard at least one terrible pitch in your life, one where you just sat there, listened to whoever was talking, and thought, you know, I hope this guy will stop talking so I can get out of here, because he was so boring. And maybe you were dozing off, and as students, we're not journalists, but we get the same exact thing. They're called lectures, and we get them every single day in school. And when we get these lectures, we're so bored that all of us drop out one by one, and we don't pay any attention, we fall asleep, and we end up getting like 60s on a test and not graduating. So we realized this was not just a problem with students, but a huge problem with narcoleptics, with security guards who need to stay up overnight, with emergency room nurses, a lot of different demographics who need to stay awake but have trouble doing so during the day and during the night. So what we wanted to do was to solve this problem using wearable technology. And our original idea was to create the Zap Watch. To create a watch that detects when you fall asleep and gives you a 50-volt electric shock to wake you back up. So we were seriously considering this. And fortunately, someone told us that, you know, this has a lot of liability issues, needless to say. So we decided to not go with that. And we were in the dark for a couple of months because we still didn't have any business or engineering experience, and we didn't know how to create a real wearable tech product. But fortunately, some of my friends at MIT and some faculty and students at MIT decided to help us because they were inspired with what we were doing, and they really liked, you know, the concept of the idea. So we actually got some help from MIT in developing what the product is today. So while they were helping us develop the product, we went around to business competitions all around New England and tried to win so we could get capital to bring this thing to market, and so that we could redesign the watch and to make the mold so that it actually looks nice. And while we were doing this, our friends at MIT, back at MIT, were trying to develop the product and making sure that the thing actually works. So we actually ended up winning quite a few of these competitions. We brought home some capital, at least enough to bring a product to market, fully develop it, make a manufacturing line, and then in the middle of 2013, we actually finished a couple prototypes. So now we were ready to actually exhibit the product at conventions like ggGeek, CES. But right when we completed the prototype, our team fell apart. So one kid got a girlfriend, one kid went off to college, another girl went off to like grad school, and it was just me and my buddy Mark. And now we were just two guys. So we were deciding, you know, whether we continue with the project, keep going with what we wanted to do as young entrepreneurs, or to just kind of go back to school. Of course, that was a bad idea, and I'm glad we didn't choose to do that, because we eventually chose to tough it out and just try to create the product as it is with 2 people. And we did. It took longer, but we eventually did it. And today I'm excited to bring you Spark, the watch that keeps you awake. So the first question we usually get is, who the hell would use this and how the hell does it work? Well, I'll answer the second one in just a bit, but first, overnight security guards, emergency nurses, 200,000 narcoleptics in the United States that can fall asleep at any given time without any forewarning. These are the people that we are targeting and trying to solve the problem for. We want to deliver the watch to all of these communities so that they can stay awake. And how it works is that the Spark will actually detect when you fall asleep at any given time in a day. So whether you're working, studying, just sitting there in your chair, listening to my pitch and falling asleep, it'll actually detect when you doze off using internal algorithms that we developed. And when it does detect that you have fallen asleep, it will gently vibrate to wake you back up. And how we detect you fall asleep can be simply described in 4 phrases. Algorithm-based motion tracking. So in conjunction with sleep researchers, we developed a series of algorithms that monitors how you move during the day, how an average person moves during their active lifestyle, and what they move like when they're falling asleep. And using these algorithms and a variety of motion sensors inside of the watch, Spark can actually detect when you fall asleep during a certain period of time and then vibrate with a varying intensity depending on how long it took you to fall asleep to wake you back up. So that's how the watch works, and that's what we've created. But obviously, when we're creating a wearable device, we can't expect to sell something that looks like a piece of crap and then expect people to wear it. So we focused a lot on the aesthetics and, of course, the design in creating a product like this. And one of the most important keys that we added was a full color LED backdrop, simply because we thought it looked nice. When we first saw the Pebble smartwatch, we thought it was a great device, but we didn't really like the black and white e-ink display. Even though it saved battery, we didn't like how it looked on your wrist because it didn't display a classic timepiece. It didn't look like something that you could wear with a lot of occasions when you're going formal, casual in the office. So we gave it this backdrop and a full color display to give it a better look. And some people might say, well, that will damage the battery life. But actually, our watch lasts longer than an average smartwatch lasts on battery. And we're working on improving it and tripling to quadrupling the battery life as we speak. So our researchers are working on that right now. And of course, going back to the design, we also give the entire watch incredible exterior design by giving it rounded edges, an all stainless steel body, just to give it the feel and weight of a real timepiece. So even though we're making a digital smartwatch with unique functions, we can still give it the feel of a real wristwatch on your wrist by including specific features and just giving it this feel, and of course, giving it the weight that a real timepiece has. So that's another thing that we've really, truly focused on. So back in August, we launched this watch on Kickstarter because it was really our only way of going onto the market. We didn't have enough capital to drive a huge launch, go to a CES and pay thousands of dollars, or do a huge press release and hold a huge launch party in our garages, which is where this was. And so we went to Kickstarter and raised just under $25,000, which was way more than we were expecting and was definitely enough to start to go into manufacturing. And as soon as this campaign ended, we focused on setting up a manufacturing line and building and improving the build quality. So right now we're working heads down to make sure that our product has great build quality. We're working on improving the battery life. We're working on making sure we can deliver the best quality device to our customers as we possibly can. And since then we've gained a lot of momentum. We've done a lot of things not a lot with marketing, but a lot with improving the quality of the product itself so that it markets itself. And this is some of the press we've been featured in just the past 2 months, and we've only been on market for about 3, so we're still in the early stages of where we'd like to be. We've had some rough times with the team falling apart and with our product not really working in the beginning. And of course, legal liability issues of having a stupid idea to shock people into getting back awake from falling asleep. But today we've got a great team. It's me and Marcus co-founders, and we have an amazing supportive community of 4 advisors and mentors, Yasu, Paul, Frank, and Patrick. We've all got great experience in the startup and business world, and we're based now in Cambridge, Massachusetts at the CIC Center near MIT campus. And in the future, right now we're working on a new idea, improving the product, again, delivering and fulfilling. And we really want to, not just build a product, but also inspire other kids our age to do the same thing. Because we don't think it should be this rare that kids our age are entrepreneurs. A lot of kids can do this, they just never find the passion and the ambition to get going because their community and the resources that they have don't encourage it. Like, when have you heard of a high school that teaches entrepreneurship or technology design? It's just unheard of. And we think that's completely wrong because we're not teaching the things that a lot of kids really like to do. A lot of kids would like to invent their own product and start their own companies, but they can't do that because they're not given the resources, the connections, the capability, or the education to be able to do so. So actually, I'm working part of giving a TED Talk in November about this, and we're working in conjunction with a lot of organizations and just being able to empower youth to create and do things like this, in addition to just our company. So our brand is not just about creating smartwatches, even though that is the main part. It's also about encouraging youth and giving an image to what youth entrepreneurship should be. So we always like to put our goal into straightforward quotes and words, and to just give a straightforward definition of what we want to do in the future, of our vision. And that's to continue creating valuable products that can solve problems in the wearable technology world. Because we think there's so much potential in wearable technology, and 99.9% of it hasn't been tapped into yet. Because right now we're creating devices like the Pebble and the Samsung Gear and the Pebble and the Moto 360, and these are cool devices. Don't get me wrong, but are they really solving a problem that we're facing? Is it really something that is it an issue that we're really tackling? Because what we saw through our eyes was they were just smartphones with a bunch of apps, and they were just shrinking down the interface to put it onto your wrist. And that's not what we thought where the market should be going, and that's not where we put our company in a position to go towards. So this is our goal, in addition to empowering the youth community of entrepreneurship. And we set up a booth over there today. We have press kits for all of you, and we can send out samples if you would like to. And again, I just want to thank all of you for coming out, and I'd love to answer any questions. So thank you for coming. Thank you for your time.
It is on? Yes, it is. Hi. I guess before you leave on the stage, I had a question about you said you were developing extended battery life. Is the entire battery technology you're developing proprietary, or are you leasing the technology from someone else?
Hello? Okay, great. Sorry about that. So the battery life the hardware is there. It's just that the programming that we're using right now is really inefficient. So the programming that's in the watch right now is causing the watch to hog up a lot of battery, because most of the time the display isn't actually active. It's not on. But in the time that the display is not on, we could be using a lot less battery life, but the program that we created and the code that we typed in made it really inefficient. So it's really not about adjusting the hardware differently. It's just completely about just making sure that the programming of the watch is of the battery usage is up to par.
Okay, it's on. I know that with the technology, it detects when you begin to fall asleep.
Right.
But what if there is, let's say you do want to wear the watch, let's say you accidentally use it to fall asleep, like when you're going to bed. Is there a way to probably set up a timer in which you want to be able to stay awake, and if you do fall asleep, that's when it rings for you? Or that's when it vibrates?
Right. Well, actually, One thing I didn't mention was that we also have an alarm, so that if you set an alarm and then you go to sleep and say you have a partner who you don't want to wake up in the morning, because alarm clocks will wake you both up, you can actually set it, and the vibration on the watch is subtle enough so that no one else around you will notice, but it's intense enough so that you can actually feel it. So you can use that alarm feature, or the other feature, which is we like to call spark mode, simply to text when you fall asleep and wakes you back up.
Is it waterproof?
It is water resistant.
Hi, Eddie. Good evening. I have a quick question regarding your watch. You said that the vibration is set depending on the longevity of the person, of how long they've slept. Is that correct? For when the watch is set?
The intensity of the vibration, right.
Okay. So if let's say they've fallen asleep for 2 to 3 hours, how will the intensity be on that person?
Well, typically someone doesn't take 2 to 3 hours to doze off. It's usually over a matter of like 10 minutes, 15 minutes at most. Because this starts from the moment where it starts to be suspicious of your dozing off to when you actually do doze off. And the intensity adjusts based on that, because chances are if it took you a longer time to doze off, you're entering a slightly deeper sleep, in which case it would take a more intense vibration to rouse you. So the quicker the time, the less intense the vibration, and the longer the time period, the more intense the vibration.
You've tested this on guards, you said? You've tested this yourself, for you, or?
Right. We've tested this on mainly students because we're students ourselves, so it was easier to get a demographic for that, but a wide variety of our target market. So yeah, with some guards, mostly students. Thank you.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you so much, Eddie. We're really, really stoked that you could join us today. Let's hear it for Eddie Zong. Woo!